What's up gamers, I'm Optron. If you're watching this video, then you might be searching for some VR tips which you can use it to your advantage and improve your skills. Well, let's begin the journey of improvement. I'm gonna divide this video into 3 different sections. In section 1 we'll cover basic layout, sensitivity and loadout, followed by basic in-game important tips, and then we will see the real in-game situation based tips. So the tip number 1, always place your primary and secondary gun slots in a manner where you can access it quickly. So if you are an iPad player or if you are any tab player, then you can place it anywhere. But if you are a mobile gamer, I recommend you to place both the slots, that is primary and secondary gun slots, very close to each other in a manner where you can access it with one finger quickly without stretching your finger. This will give you a lot of advantage in close range fight when you run out of ammo. Well, tip number 2, never copy anyone else's sensitivity, create your own sensitivity. Well, what we do is we watch some videos and copy the sensitivity. Well, this is really wrong. Every device has different sensitivity and you should create your own sensitivity on which you are comfortable. I'm gonna explain what is camera and firing sensitivity in a layman language so that you can create your own sensitivity. So the camera sensitivity is your character sensitivity. Remember, the camera sensitivity is the sensitivity which your character uses. Like you move right, left, you look right, left, up, down, anywhere. So this is your camera sensitivity. Remember, the firing sensitivity only comes into effect when you start firing the bullets, whether it is hip fire or the ADS. While this ADS camera sensitivity is when you scope in but do not fire. The moment you will start firing, your firing sensitivity comes into effect and your camera sensitivity will stop working. This keeps on changing. If you didn't understand, grab a screenshot. Now the firing sensitivity will comes into effect after the moment you start firing your first bullet. So this is something which you have to keep in mind, that the firing sensitivity overrules camera sensitivity when you start firing the bullets. Let me show you. Right now my camera sensitivity is into effect, but the moment I start firing, now my firing sensitivity is into effect. So this is the difference between camera and firing sensitivity. Now I think you are aware of these settings. Go and create your own sensitivity on which you are comfortable. Tip number 3, always set your primary and secondary guns in the first and second slots for quick grab from Arsenal airdrop. So what happens is when we go and loot Arsenal airdrop, there is a high chance of enemies nearby or enemies coming. So if you put your primary and secondary gun in first and second slots, you don't have to swipe in the Arsenal airdrop, and that will save your time, and you will be ready to fight if enemy is nearby after grabbing the weapon. Tip number 4, always choose the best mods for weapon. Right now we have 10 different mods in the game which are currently there, and I'm gonna tell you the must-have mods for each type of weapons. For snipers, sniper expert and long range; for assault, long range and precise shot; for SMGs, hip fire and long range; and for marksman, sniper expert and long range. Moving on to the next tip, tip number 5. Things to keep in mind while using armor repair in the middle of close range fight. With the new health system, we have now armor repairs. So you can use armor and advanced armor repair while sliding and jumping. But you cannot use kinetic armor repair while sliding. So this you have to keep in mind, because if you are into a close range fight and try to use the kinetic armor, this will decrease your speed, and I recommend you to use it once you have proper cover. Moving on to the tip number 6, sniping in BR is totally different than MP, so have some patience and try to take headshots. What we do is we use this one tap ADS button while sniping, but what you have to do is you have to scope in and then use the fire button. This will increase your accuracy by almost 40% and you will be able to take headshots easily. Tip number 7. Situation is, what if you are a bit far from your teammates and they got into a fight and got knocked out? What should you do? Well, let me show you with an example. Here I was a bit far from my teammates, they got into a fight and they were unaware of the number of enemies. What you have to do is, you have to get nearby and use some cover and start firing on the enemies so that you can get their location. Until and unless you know their location, do not rush into the fight because you might be unaware of their situation, their placements, where they are. They can kill you from behind. So start firing. This will give them a feel of fear and you might get a knock also, and this will give your teammates some time to revive others and knock the one who are in front of them. So this is called support tactics. So use it when you are in this kind of situation. It is really helpful, guys, and it is advisable not to jump directly into a fight which you don't know about. Tip number 8. Situation is, what if all of your teammates are dead and you are surrounded by enemies and also out of zone? Well, with the new health system, you don't want to take the risk of being out of the zone. So if you are surrounded by enemies and your teammates are already dead, what you have to do is you have to find some vehicles or some cover to run towards the zone. So give some damage to the enemies if you can, and then jump onto the vehicle or go to the vehicle and straight away go towards the zone. This is the only thing which you can do if you are into this kind of situation. So do not take fight out of the zone. Tip number 9. What if enemy tries to hit you with a truck or any kind of vehicle? What should you do in this kind of situation? And nowadays in Blackout it's happening a lot. So if the enemy is on the truck, just jump onto the carrot section and start giving them damage from this back glass, which is really amazing because you can give them damage and you can knock them out. But what if the situation is like the enemy is in muscle car or ORV or some other vehicle? Well, jump onto the vehicle and get inside and then start damaging the driver and other enemies sitting in that. If they are aware of this thing, they will jump out of it, but you will be on the edge because you have already given some damage. So tip number 10, what if you land just a few seconds after your enemy and the situation is really important, guys. So where should you land and what should you do before getting into a fight? So here, suppose this is the enemy who just landed and this is you who landed just after a second. But what this guy did is he tried to act like a pro and instead of jumping on this loot box, he tried to get into a fight. Well, he could have jumped on that loot box, grabbed a gun and could have neutralized me, but he paid the price of choosing the wrong thing. Tip number 11, always try to listen to footsteps of enemies and keep an eye on footstep marker on the screen. Well, now we have footstep marker also, so if you're not using a good headset, then this marker will come in handy. So always try to use earphones. Do not play on speaker. This will give you an extra edge. Tip number 12, what if you get into a close fight with a shotgun player? Well, this is really amazing, guys, because it happens a lot with most of us. So what you have to do is try to increase the distance between you and your enemy. Try to jump backwards and get a bit away from that shotgun player. This will give you an advantage because the shotgun is only effective at the close range. Tip number 13, always keep your close range gun which has maximum hipfire accuracy. Well, right now the MX9 is the only gun with the insane hipfire accuracy. So have a look, guys. The guy was so far, but still my MX9 loadout, which I have. If you want the loadout, I can leave the link in the description also. I have made a separate video on that. So the hipfire gives you an edge in the close range fight. Why? Because you get immense amount of speed and control. So if you are using ADS, then your speed is a bit slow because you cannot move here and there with ADS on. So this is the advantage of using high accuracy hipfire guns in the close range fight. So that's the hipfire guns. And now moving on, tip number 14. What if an enemy jumps directly on you from chopper? What should you do? Well, there are some pros who jumps directly onto you while you are giving them damage. Now here, have a look. I was damaging this guy, but suddenly he jumped on me. So what you have to do is you have to start pre-firing at the location where he or she is about to land. Remember, the first one to fire in this kind of situation always wins. So this is something very important to remember, guys. And moving on to the next tip, which is tip number 15, the last one in this video. This is some bonus tips, some features which you can use to your advantage. Well, many of you might be aware of this thing that in Blackout map you can do this long slide on the ridges and the slopes. So that was it. And then you can use armor and advanced armor while you are on the zip line. Well, it took me a lot of effort to create this video, guys. So if you have learned something new, then drop a like and drop your review about this video in the comment section. If you want me to make some videos on any topic related to COD Mobile, you can drop it down in the comment section. If you still haven't subscribed, subscribe for more COD Mobile videos like this. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. See you in next video.